Very good evening. I am Shilpa and I welcome you all to the CIET NCERT special live program NISHTHA, National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Advancement. So today we shall discuss module 14 of NISHTHA, which is on the initiative in school education. And also today we have as an expert Professor Sharat Sinha from the Department of Teacher Education NCERT, and also we have Dr. P.D. Subhash, Associate Professor from the Planning and Monitoring Division in NCERT. I welcome you both.
Good evening, viewers.
Good evening.
Yes, and before we proceed, I would like to inform our viewers that you can watch NISHTHA live session on the alternative days of the week, that is on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And on the remaining days, you can watch the repeat telecast of NISHTHA, that is from the 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And also during our today's live session, if you come across any questions related to our today's topic of discussion, then you can comment your questions during our YouTube live streaming, which is happening now. And our official YouTube channel is NCERT Official. Now coming back to our experts, I would request you both to explain module 14 in detail.
Thank you, Shilpa, and good evening once again, viewers. Here we are, myself Sharat Sinha and Dr. P.D. Subhash, to talk to you about the module of the NISHTHA, which talks about the initiative in school education. The core of human resource development is developing quality in education, and now the Ministry of Education, which deals with this, has been divided into two parts, that is Department of School Education and Literacy, and of course the Department of Higher Education. And as all of you must be aware of the fact that before 1976 education was exclusively a state subject, but after 1976 constitutional amendment, education became in the current list, and it became the responsibility of the center as well as the state. A lot of initiatives have been taken by the government, by the Department of School Education and Literacy, in order to make education quality education and affordable to all. Lot of acts have come up, Right to Education Act 2019, and in this module, I along with my colleague would try to throw some light on what are these initiatives which have been taken up by the department. And after knowing this, you will be understanding, after discussing with us, I am sure you will be understanding the major components of the Samagra Shiksha, that is a scheme, centrally sponsored scheme of the Government of India for improvement, qualitative improvement in school education. So, can I have the presentation? The Samagra Shiksha was a merger of three schemes. As you know that we had Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan earlier. Then after that after the success of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, we had Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan for the classes, secondary classes, and we also had a scheme of teacher education. Now after the launching of this scheme, the education, the ministry saw the education as a continuum right from preschool to senior secondary classes, and it also merged the scheme of teacher education in 2018-19, and all these schemes together, they were known as Samagra Shiksha. And this scheme, this envisages the school as a continuum, and it focuses on improving the system's level performance and the learning outcomes, overall learning outcomes at the school level. Then the scheme has a vision of inclusive and equitable quality education, and that is from preschool to senior secondary stage. And one more important thing which I would like to tell you about the scheme is that the Sustainable Development Goals developed by UN, which the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which deals with the component of education, it also takes into cognizance those Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goal 4.1 talks about free and equitable quality primary and secondary education for achieving effective learning outcomes, And the Sustainable Development Goal 4.5 talks about eliminating gender disparities in education and ensuring equal access to all level of education and vocational training for all, including the vulnerable groups, the marginalized community and the deprived community members from the community which have been deprived of education. It also envisages promoting of vocationalization of education, supporting states to implement the Right to Education Act 2009 and strengthening the upgradation of SCRT, State Institute of Education and DIETS as nodal agencies of teacher training. Further, talking about the various components of the scheme which are there, I would request my colleague Dr. P.D. Subhash to talk about the various components of the scheme.
Thank you, Sharad ma'am. All of you know that preschool education is an important area of education. New education policy also stresses the importance of preschool education. We know that play, language, cognition, three things are very important during early childhood period. Considering the importance of this period, especially in the area of cognitive development, language development, social development, physical development, Samagra Shiksha gives too much importance to preschool education. New education policy also suggests so many things related to preschool education, because if we are not giving proper foundation, we can't strengthen our education system. Preschool education, Samagra Shiksha considers it's a critical component under Bade Bharat, Bade Bharat program. So we give much importance to early language development, literacy and numeracy development. For this purpose, under the scheme, we try to collocate Anganwadis into wherever primary schools are feasible, and also more than 3 lakh rupees per school is provided to states and UTs for strengthening the preschool education. Another critical component of preschool education, another critical component of Samagra Shiksha is sports grant. As we know that if we play football, we get so many qualities: team spirit, we are ready to face the failures, finishing, teamwork, speed, stamina. So sports have several qualities. Understanding this fact, Samagra Shiksha also gives importance to sports activities in the school. A sports grant of rupees 5,000 for primary schools, 10,000 for upper primary schools and 25,000 for secondary schools are allotted under sports grant. Another component is promotion of inclusive education. We conducted several studies in the area of education. My personal experience is that I conducted studies related to school management, no detention policy. When we interact with the teachers, they express that this is one of the neglected areas of education in India, preschool education. We need specialized teachers, we need facilities, infrastructure facilities. All these things are lacking in our education system. Understanding this fact, rupees 3,000 to 3,500 per child per annum is allocated under the scheme, and also it stresses the importance of separate resource support for the special education. Another critical component is Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya. I request Madam to please reflect on that.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash. Kasturba, as you all know, that Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya were residential schools for the girls from class 6 to 8 earlier in the SSA. In the RMSA, the scheme of girls hostel was introduced. That was for 9th and 10th. Now, since the scheme covers the entire school education, so these Kasturba Gandhi Vidyalaya in educationally backward blocks or wherever they are situated will be extended from class 6 for the girls from class 6 to 12th in educationally backward block wherever they are not existent or they would be upgraded. For this, there is a special provision of recurring grants, including various expenses, including keeping of various personnels like cooks and other manpower which is required for running those hostels. So these grants, they include for KGBVs which are up to 6, from 6 to 8, it is up to 60 lakh per annum per school. For Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas, for class 6 to 10th, it is up to rupees 80 lakh per annum, and for KGBVs for class 6 to 12th, the grant has shot up to rupees 1 crore per annum. There are certain standalone girls schools also, hostels also, they are from 9th to 12th. For them, the grant is up to 25 lakh per annum. Then there is in the Samagra Shiksha, self-defense training also has been given an important place. For the self-defense training for the girls, this is a program for 3 months. An allocation has been made for rupees 3,000 per month for the training of girl student, and that is from class 6 to 12. Apart from all these activities, there are a lot of activities for addressing the cultural diversity of our country. So Rangotsav, I would request our colleague Professor Dr. Subhash to talk about the Rangotsav activities under the Samagra Shiksha.
Understanding of cultural diversity of India is an important component. We should understand how people live, how they dress. So India is a land of variety of culture. We should understand our culture. For understanding culture, under Samagra Shiksha there are several components. For awareness of cultural diversity, Bhasha Sangam, number of state, zonal, national events are there. At the NCERT level, we can see various activities like we conducted national role play competition, Kala Ulsav. All these aspects we can see age-old cultural activities of children. By acting all these or enacting these cultural, when they participate in these kind of cultural activities, they understand our culture. They understand the thoughts of that particular people they lived that time. So understanding of culture is very important factor. That is why we conduct integration camp, folk dance, role play, Kala Ulsav, Sangeeta Kala Sangam, inter-school band competition. These kind of activities are conducting under the Samagra Shiksha. Another thing is youth club and eco club activities. Environmental awareness is an important factor. We know that we all suffering from so many disasters. So youth club and eco club activities should be a major component in our education system. For that purpose, around 15,000 per school per year is provided at the elementary level and 25,000 per school per year is provided at the secondary level. Elementary level 15,000 and secondary level 25,000 for the eco club and youth club activities. Annual grant of 5,000 to 20,000 per school for strengthening of libraries. Library grant is an important grant under Samagra Shiksha because we all know that we will not get time to read. Our generation is going like that. So it is very important to develop reading habits among the children. By understanding this factor, Samagra Shiksha gives importance to the reading habits of the children, and they give a library grant for around 1 lakh per school per enrolled, composite school grant of library grant is provided under the Samagra Shiksha. Another thing is annual school grant, rupees 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees is giving to school as a composite school grant under the Samagra Shiksha. Next is school based assessment. Ma'am will talk on that.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash. I would also like to add to this that composite school grant up to 25,000 which is given to the schools. Out of this, 10% has to be essentially spent on the Swachhata Abhiyan, and I would also like to add that regarding the school safety, which is very important, apart from the training of the girls for the school safety, another there is a impetus on infrastructural safety and physical safety also. For this, there is a provision of an amount of rupees 1,000 for every teacher in every school from class 1 to 12 for attending the integrated teacher program, which talks about the Juvenile Justice Act, the POCSO Act, and all about the various helplines, about the various type of counseling activities and the help which are available for the teachers. So there is a provision for this. Apart from this, under the Samagra Shiksha, there is another provision of providing rupees 500 to every school for displaying on the school board the helpline numbers, the emergency numbers, the numbers of various emergency counselors, doctors, health facilities. Every school has been given a provision of rupees 500 for maintaining a board which is visible and accessible to all. Then we also have under the Samagra Shiksha the
school-based assessment.
Yeah, the school-based assessment. So, assessing the learning outcomes of the student is very important, and right from the children, for the children at elementary level, and assessment should happen in a very non-threatening environment, so that the children are not awed by it, and the fear of examination is not there. So, school-based assessment is also being carried out under this scheme by the schools, by the respective schools, and of course it has to be ensured that it is under the non-threatening environment. Further, bringing the children with special needs to the schools, and children from the sparsely populated area or areas located in the rough terrains where it is very difficult to commute, a transport facility to the children in class 1 to 8 from those areas which are very sparsely populated, and urban areas from where the transport facility is not available, and to the deprived children a transport, there is a provision of transport and escort allowance also, and this is a the financial provision of 3,000 per child per annum. This has been enhanced to rupees 6,000 per child per annum based on the actual cost, whether the terrain is rough or the type of transport facilities, whether it is a big bus or it is a small van, whichever is to be provided. It is on the basis of that. Further, in this scheme, we also have a provision of free uniform and textbooks, that is allocation of 2 sets of uniforms for girl students and children belonging to the SC, ST and below poverty line families in the government school up to class 8. And this amount earlier was rupees 400, now it has been enhanced to rupees 600 per child per annum under the Samagra Shiksha. Now, Samagra Shiksha also talks about a very important component, that is the strengthening of the cluster resource center. Now, cluster resource coordinator under this scheme has to visit to the school and provide on-site academic support under his or her jurisdiction at least once or twice a month. Then regular visits by block resource person to the schools for continuous monitoring, hand holding and follow up has also to be done by this under the scheme. Now, school management committees, as all of you know, play a very important role in strengthening the schools. The training of SMCs, which was there in the SSA, that was village education committees in SSA and SDMC in the RMSA. Now, the school management committees members, there is a provision of that, and of course these have to meet four quarterly meetings, and this have to be notified to the state government and the school coordinators after these have to be notified after the meeting. Now, there is another factor that is the UDIs. The UDIs, all of you are aware of the Unified District Information on School Education, and this collects the data from all over the country of the schools. From 2018 and 19, it has been decided to update this UDIs and introduce the new features. I would request Dr. Subhash to talk about the new features of the UDIs Plus.
In the UDIS Plus, there a dashboard with data analytics and data visualization facility is there, and also it includes time series data to study the trend over the years. Another thing is GIS mapping is possible there, and also we can generate school report cards. Third party evaluation is also possible under the UDIS Plus. This is the new feature of, earlier it was UDIS, after Samagra Shiksha it becomes UDIS Plus. Another important feature of Samagra Shiksha is performing grading index, in which we assess the performance of the state governments as well as union territories. There are 70 indicators and 1000 marks. So, we are ranking the performance of the states based on outcome category and the governing process. Based on these two aspects, we assess the performance of the states and union territories, and we rank the schools. If any state is performing very poor, with these 70 indicators and 1000 points, we can understand what is the level of a particular state, and we can help the state to improve their performance. Performing grading index. Another important feature is Shagun portal. In the Shagun portal, there are two modules, a repository of innovation and online monitoring. Two facilities are there. In the repository of innovation, we can depict the case studies, the innovations done by the state, the teachers and students, and others can refer it. And another thing is online monitoring. So, we can mainstream, or we can study how many out of school children there, what is the enrollment rate, what is the level of learning outcomes. All these we can analyze through the this Shagun portal monitoring module. These are the two features of the. These are the two features.
Thank you, Dr. Subhash. I would also like to add that performance grading index, it has 70 indicators, and these indicators, as Dr. Subhash rightly pointed out, that we have two categories, that is outcomes and on governance processes. When we talk of the outcome category, it has been divided into 4 domains, which are the learning outcomes, the access outcomes, and infrastructure facilities and equity outcomes. Now, the second is the governance processes, that covers the attendance, the teacher adequacy in the school, the administrative adequacy, the training accountability and transparency in the school. And as Dr. Subhash rightly pointed out, that the performance grading index is for 1000 points, and each indicator which I have mentioned and he also mentioned, that has either 20 or 10 points. So, on this basis of this performance gradation is done. Now, on the Shagun portal also, I would also like to add that is a repository in which the best practices in diverse condition of the states are showcased, and this is constantly being updated by the state specific, and in the states who have performed miraculously in certain areas and under adverse circumstances, it has been showcased, and there are so many innovations which are coming up which can be scaled up also. They are documented in the form of case studies, testimonials, audios, videos, or in the form of images. So in this portal we have a benefit that we are having the data analytics, and we are having the best practices assimilated in one repository, and how they have acted under various parameters or various adverse circumstances, that gives a lesson for other also to understand and emulate and take up further. So for the next, I would like Dr. Subhash, would you like to speak? Yeah.
Next is National Awards to Teachers. Very interesting thing is that earlier most of the senior teachers apply for the national awards, but after the Samagra Shiksha, any entry level teacher can apply for the national award. It is online, the number is restricted to 45, and all the regular teachers or entry level teachers are eligible to apply for the national awards. All the meritorious teachers will get national awards. So I think recently it is published for the online teachers award. One more important component under the Samagra Shiksha is Swachh Vidyalaya Puraskar. The all it recognize, inspire and celebrate excellence in water, sanitation and hygiene practices in schools. The schools voluntarily applied online through a website and mobile app for the awards. It is another thing is it is open to private schools, also not confined to government schools only. So Swachh Vidyalaya Puraskar is another important component of the school. It is one of the part of the Swachhata Abhiyan.
Shall I speak?
No.
And to add to this, the Swachh Vidyalaya Puraskar, that is an initiative to recognize and inspire the children to celebrate excellence in water, sanitation and hygiene practices in the school. Our Honorable PM also talks a lot about the Swachhata Abhiyan, and the Swachhata Abhiyan initiated has been taken forward by Department of School Education and Literacy by awarding the schools for their cleanliness. Overall, it has led to the attitudinal change in the cleanliness and hygienic habits. So this has become a part of their habit and the part of everyday routine. So now it has also the Samagra Shiksha has also given importance to the digital technology long before COVID. COVID was something which was not anticipated by all of us, and it came such as this calamity struck unprecedented. It caught us unawares, but Samagra Shiksha, it has been already thought of improving the digital technology in the classroom through smart classroom, digital boards and DTH channels. And in this COVID times also, these channels, the SWAYAM Prabha channels, the SWAYAM channels have helped a lot for learning to go on. The learning never stopped. Despite of teachers being away from the classrooms, still teachers were available virtually, digitally for the students all over the country. Now I would like Dr. Subhash to tell about the best practices that have emerged as a consequence of Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan by the various states.
Yes, we have a notion that all the best practices initiates at the national level only, not like that. The states, the schools and teachers, they also started best practices. Mo School Abhiyan or My School, it started in Odisha. All the alumni helped the schools in improving their physical infrastructure their school performances. That is why this program started in Odisha. Multicultural program, you know, that started in Odisha earlier, and it improved the performance of the children. Another one is eVidyavahini, an integrated MIS platform developed in Jharkhand. E-platform education at your doorstep, Chhattisgarh. Ganika Kaliga Andolana, Karnataka, for improving mathematics skills of the children. Mission Prerana in Uttar Pradesh for the early language literacy numeracy development. Pragna, an activity-based learning model of Gujarat. These are the recent initiatives happened in the schools. Other schools also, other states also, they can replicate this kind of activities to improve the school level performance.
Shall I speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Dr. Subhash talked about these initiatives. There are a lot of digital initiatives also which have been taken by the Department of School Education and Literacy, and they have brought out a beautiful booklet in which all the digital initiatives during the COVID time also have been tracked and reported, documented and reported. And like Dr. Subhash talked about eVidyavahini program, that is an integrated platform in which teachers, students, the teacher attendance, the student attendance in the classroom can be tracked, and this has been developed with the resource support of many departments including Department of Education in Chhattisgarh, and this will be working online as well as offline also, and even after the COVID pandemic also this eVidyavahini portal will be functional. Then e-platform, I'm sorry, it was developed by Jharkhand, and e-platform, that is education at your doorstep, that is Padhai Tohar Dwar, that was every child was approached for this in the state of Chhattisgarh. Ganit Kalika Andolan, which was launched in Karnataka, that is making teaching learning of math very easy by small simple activities. It's totally activity based learning, and Pragna is an activity based learning program model of Gujarat. And for the next, I would like Dr. Subhash. Yeah.
One of the other recent development happens in the area of midday meal program. School Nutrition Garden Tithi Bhojan, then cooking competition. These are the new things happened in the area of midday meal program. Madam, please explain about Tithi Bhojan.
Sure. Midday meal is something which has really helped the children to bring the increase the retention rate and curb the dropout rate, and children in during the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Midday meal is such a scheme which is lauded all over the world, and it has been studied as an example. Now, adding to this, the Samagra Shiksha has also added a few more features. This was still elementary from classes 1 to 8. Now, under this scheme also there is a provision of school nutrition garden, that is the spaces which are kept in the which are lying idle in the school are the students and the teachers together cultivate in the form of vegetables and so many other things which could be done as a part of the school nutrition, and are developing nutrition gardens in the school, and the produce is used to increase the nutritional content of the food given in the midday meals. That adds to it. There is another thing which has been observed in the midday meal, and that is very appreciable, is Tithi Bhojan. All of us are aware that India is a country of cultural diversity. We celebrate our festivals, we celebrate with pomp and show, and eating is something which is an essential part of good eating is a part of all our festivals. Under Tithi Bhojan, various states have come out with an innovative thing, and which I would like to mention. There is something called Tithi Bhojan which is being done in Haryana. In some of the state, on special days, that is the birthday of a daughter or the day when a daughter is born, they give food to the community, and of course they give food to they sponsor the midday meal of that day to a school nearby. Certain good dates like birthdays, anniversaries, the Mrityu Bhoj or the Janm Bhoj, that is So as I told that food is associated, fasting, feasting, food is associated with every festival. Whether even somebody dies in our family, there is a feast after 13 days for some people. So what happens is that on these days also people have taken initiative to feed the children in the schools and to add to the nutritional quality of the school in the midday meal. And this scheme also talks of convergence with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Something like cooking competition is also coming up in certain states, which is adding to we already have different menu of midday meal, but of course there are financial constraints. So these type of activities are adding to the quality of nutrition to the children in the midday meals.
Okay.
So, we have covered almost all the areas of.
Okay. So now can we take questions viewers want to ask you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So basically they are saying that module 14 also talks about the initiative at the school level regarding the promoting reading habits. So can you please explain something related to that? The initiative related to inculcating reading habits?
Reading habits. See, library grant is one of the important component of improving the reading habits of the children. New education policy also suggesting so many things to improve the reading habits of the children, because we know that around more than 5 crore children in India, they don't know how to read and write, because if we equal with the Karnataka state of population is almost like that. So it is one of the important area that we have to improve the reading skills or the reading habit of the children. New education policy also is stressing many things, and Samagra Shiksha is also giving library grants, and also they are stressing the importance of, we can see that new education policy, why we are giving too much importance to preschool, because early language skills, reading skills, mathematics skills, all the skills are developing that level. New education policy itself saying if we are not giving the making strong our foundation, we can't do anything in future. That is why reading skill is very important.
And under this Samagra, we have a library annual grant of rupees 5,000 to 20,000 depending upon the number of children in the school, plus a composite grant of 25,000 to 1 lakh for strengthening the libraries according to the enrollment in the school. Is also there is a provision in the Samagra Shiksha.
Right. So also you both talked about the several provisions and initiatives under this umbrella scheme of Samagra Shiksha. So how it's actually helping in experiential learning and the joyful learning, how it's providing such opportunities to students? The viewers are asking this question.
Yes, would you like to take it?
The joy, see, our school education pattern has changed, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system. Why we are giving too much importance the 5 years? Because early period the learning takes place through play method. That is the important. Play itself is joy. The children is not bothered about the end result. They get only joy. That is a joyful learning. So we are now at this point. After the new education policy, we are giving importance to preschool education, means we are giving importance to joyful learning.
Okay, so I'll take up one more question. Professor Sharad, you had talked about during the COVID-19 and how this initiative actually helping it. But if we consider the current scenario, the classroom wasn't there physically. So how, for improving quality of education, could you please just mention some more initiatives?
Yes, sure, Shilpa. During COVID-19, as I already said, that everybody, like, we thought that it is going to be over very soon, and it was a time when the board examinations were going on, and they were about to finish. Few papers of class 10th and 12th were left. What happened was, and other classes were about to go to the examination. Suddenly we had to face this pandemic and the lockdown happened. So after that, when we came into terms that this is here to stay and we have to face it, the teachers sprung into action. the technology came into our help, and the Department of School Education and Literacy along with NCERT immediately launched the alternative calendar. The alternative calendar for primary, upper primary, secondary and senior secondary for 4 weeks was launched, in which certain activities which could be done, the certain course of syllabus which should be covered, which can be covered at home, certain activities which could be done at home also. The teachers took up to the challenge and approached to the students virtually with the help of various digital platforms and various channels which were available to them, or various MIA systems which were available to them. So the ministry took this initiatives, the SWAYAM Prabha channel which was there. We had programs for class for all the classes from primary, upper primary, secondary and senior secondary. We had devoted timings for this, which were the programs were taken for all the school children, and they were aired across 7 channels as far as I know. Then we brought out guidelines, the ministry along with NCERT, we brought out guidelines for using digital devices, and then those children who do not have access to digital tools and devices, for them also there were guidelines, and then Pragyata guidelines, I suppose. So lot of initiatives have been taken place, and all the digital initiatives, as I also mentioned earlier, which had been taken up by the Government of India, by various state governments, various teachers and various apps which were developed, various measures which are done. Suddenly this COVID has catapulted the technological use to another 5 years. We were forced to learn new terms, we were forced to learn new devices, we were forced to learn new ways of reaching out to the students, those who have digital devices and those do not have digital devices. So these all initiatives were taken up by the Ministry of MHRD, now Ministry of Education, along with NCERT and other agencies, so that the learning must go on and the learning should not stop.
Yes.
The children even at home should learn with the available resources and devices and means.
Okay, we are still left with like 10 minutes, so I'll take up more questions now.
Sure.
Viewers have confusion regarding the task or the portfolio activities given in the module. Is there any portfolio activities or the task assigned to the school heads or teachers as per the module? Because viewers are saying that there is a confusion.
No, in this we do not have.
Yes.
In this module it is not there.
Right. So this is what I had wanted to let them know, that there is no task or the portfolio activity in the module. Okay, so I'll take up one more question here. You talked about several activities. You both talked about initiatives. But how these initiatives will actually help teacher to improve the quality, because they are the major staple factor in improving the quality of education. So how it will help them?
See, Shilpa, whenever any initiative is there, or in our country we have a big chain of government schools, and this Samagra Shiksha on all the centrally sponsored schemes which we have, they are mainly for private schools. They are not for private schools, they are for the government schools, and to some extent for the training component was extended to the government aided schools. Now finance, to bring out any change or introduce any new, the finances are needed. So Samagra Shiksha has already increased the financial expenditure in various areas. The school grants have increased, the composite school grants have increased, the infrastructure grants have increased, the library grants have increased, the self-defense. So it gives a more power, or for development of infrastructure, more power in the hands of teacher and administration to use these the available resources for bringing out the creating a better learning atmosphere, creating a better infrastructure, and thinking of achieving the learning outcomes.
Suppose in the case of sports grant, every year sports grant is giving. Every year sports grant is giving means every year the infrastructure is developing. The students get more opportunities to play, they get more equipments, it is maintaining. That means every year the system is developing. It is not for one time assignment.
And even they get a lot of, like if we purchase a cricket bat or some like a cricket kit, and it is not going to last for years. It hardly lasts for 6 months or 8 months or say for a year, and the children play and all the school children play. So a recurring grant which is being given, that helps in developing the sports infrastructure also and adding to the sports facility of the school also. So that increase, and that is helpful for the teacher also, because without the equipments and infrastructure, even the teacher sometimes finds himself or herself helpless in implementing various things.
Okay.
Another important thing is online monitoring is there. The activities of the school is online monitoring is there. Performing grading index is there. So school also vigilant about all these developments. They are bothered about. See, we can see so many areas covering. Girls education is covering, inclusive education is covering, then sports education is covering, many area, eco club activities, youth club activities, Swachh Vidyalaya Puraskar, so National Teachers Award. So many components are covering under Samagra Shiksha. So they are getting money also, they are getting support also. GIS mapping is there, online monitoring is there. So we are vigilant about the activities of the schools. So schools will definitely try to improve the system.
And it takes into cognizance the holistic development of a child, not only academics, the sports, the environment, the libraries, and so many other things. And otherwise, one thing which my colleague did not mention, the Shagun repository. That is repository of best practices. So we could just teacher can have a sneak peek into the repository and see for the best practices which are being prevalent all over the country, and how these practices can be emulated in their state. They can also give it a try. This is also one of the best thing which I feel whenever I go through the Shagun portal. I find in such a small remote areas they have done such beautiful things, and that those practices can be scalable also. That means good things there can always be a chain reaction of good things across the country.
When we conducted this NISHTHA training program, face-to-face program in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu also, the teachers showed us many innovations what they have done. Many of the people are not aware of that. So this portal, if they upload, others can also see. So that means sharing and dissemination of quality interventions, innovations, that opportunity is there in Samagra Shiksha.
Okay. I'll take up one more question, and this has been asked by Miss Priya. She's asking that Samagra Shiksha talks about inclusive education. So does it provide any grant for the inclusive classroom for the holistic development of students?
It is. I think it is
Yes,
already mentioned.
it is already mentioned, and we mentioned that the transport allowance is also there. The escort allowance has also been increased for children with special needs. There is a special grant which we already mentioned the amount earlier, which has been enhanced earlier. There is a grant for bringing children from difficult. The transport allowance has been increased to bring these children from special terrains or from the areas which are unapproachable. And development of resource rooms also, there is a grant for development of resource rooms for children with special needs.
Okay. So with this, would you like to add more details? Any further details for the viewers?
I think we would like to take questions from the viewers, because we have tried to put in, the scheme is vast, the scheme is very ambitious, and first time it has been thought that we have to take education in continuum. It's not broken in broken into parts. So in this way we have started treating the child that yes, the education is happening, and we have also taken into all types of perspectives which we imagine, and in the scheme it has been imagined, and no stone has been unturned. We have increased, the finances have been increased. There is, instead of inspectoring, it has been talked about mentoring and monitoring, developing of various platforms, increasing accountability, that even the SMCs have been given more like their accountability to hold meetings, then report to the state government, report changes, suggestions also. So a lot of things have been happening, and whenever a scheme is launched, it takes a little time. Whenever any initiative has been launched, it takes a time for people to understand and a little more time to see the impact of the scheme. I am very sure that this scheme is going to bring about very positive changes. We are very hopeful that after this pandemic and very soon we will come back to our classroom, the learning will happen in the classroom, and the resources and the finances which have been provided by Samagra Shiksha would be utilized to the fullest for bettering the learning outcomes of the children in our classroom.
Okay. I'll take up one more question. We are still left to like 3 minutes. So this question has been asked by Mr. P.V. Ratna Prasad. He is asking that how Samagra Shiksha can help to bridge the gap between that social and that gender gap we talk about, particularly at the village level where the illiteracy is very high.
You would like to take it?
Social and
Gender gap.
Yes.
See, Samagra Shiksha is giving importance to girls' education. Girls hostel, Kasturba Gandhi, Balika Vidyalayas, the amount is increased. The hostel facilities is, the amount is giving for this hostel facilities. That means the girl child can stay at school. So that kind of changes are there in the case of.
I would also like to,
Sharan,
yes, I would also like to add that the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, which were from 6th to 8th earlier, now these have been upgraded from 6th to 12th, and the allowances for these manpower maintenance and the maintenance of these residential girls hostel have been increased. The self defense training allowance have also been increased, and then earlier also in the slides we had talked about it is giving more impetus to vocationalization of education for even those who are vulnerable, the people from the deprived community, people from below poverty line. There is more emphasis on vocationalization of education also. Plus this scheme talks about the sustainable development goals, which talks of equity, and by 2030 it aims to bridge all the gender disparities in the existing in the school education system.
Access, equity and quality we have to achieve by 2030. We visualize like that. It is one of the major challenge before us, even though the Samagra Shiksha talk about or try to achieve this one.
Okay. So there is several questions coming up related to activity, ma'am, because I think there's at the corner at the left side we have the activity section assigned to them. So there is some confusion with so many viewers. If you could just clarify a bit, do they need to submit it?
No, activities are given to you to like understand the module.
Yes.
These activity would help you, the activities in the boxes and along with the module which have been given, that will help you doing these activities, thinking and reflecting will help you to understand the module and the initiatives taken up by the school education. There are certain reflective activities which are given, thinking about activities, what is happening in your state with respect to and how can you contribute to the development of for enhancing the learning outcomes in your state. All these activities which have been mentioned, I am not sure which they are asking about which activities. This is for the better understanding of the module.
And this is what I wanted to share viewer. If they have any problem in certain activity, they can share the screenshot with us and experts will certainly come up with some solution. So,
and even if the questions are coming, we will be addressing the question even after the session also.
Yes. Okay, so today what we understood module 14 of NISHTHA, which talks about initiative in school education. So and also we learnt about the several initiative related to school education. We also understood what is Samagra Shiksha and integrated its scheme for the improvement of the quality of school education and promoting inclusive education. We also learnt about the initiative in school with regard to promoting reading habits and also enhancing the experiential learning and the joyful learning opportunity for the students. And thank you to our experts for being with us.
Thank you, Shilpa.
And
Thank you,
with
Shilpa.
yes, and with this I am Shilpa signing off. Till then, take care and keep watching Kishore Manch.